Okay. So I hope I'm audible to the people who are online, and for offline people, like I'm audible, right? Okay. Okay. So hello everyone. Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to cover the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 29th of November 2021. So today is the day where Delhi government has allowed the offline classes to run and other activities also to run in Delhi. Alright. So with this, let us quickly see the important articles that were in news today. So the first article is like questionable criterion. So we will talk about like what was the criteria that is questionable. Alright. So it was there in page number 6. After this we will look into another topic which says COP26 pledges need a new climate of cooperation. Alright, so we will understand about like what has been the development when it comes to COP26 pledges. Then we will understand about the importance of local language. Okay, local language has been a part of the new education policy, and so like recently the government of Karnataka had adopted a move in this regard. So we will talk about the importance of local languages. Then we will understand about visa complaints to US government on India's backing for RuPay. Okay, so you might be knowing that RuPay is a local card. I mean like it is a card that is developed locally in India, and like government of India is trying to promote the RuPay card as compared to like Visa or MasterCard. Visa and MasterCard are international cards. They are issued by brands, their parent company is located in USA. So these companies, like Visa and the MasterCard, they have complained to the USTR, United States Trade Representative. Alright. So we will talk about this topic. Then we will look into another topic that says smartphone access for learning not adequate. Okay. So you might be knowing that like because of COVID-19 pandemic, the digital divide has widened. So because of it, like there has been lot of issues in learning outcomes. I mean like people who did not have access to a smartphone, did not have access to the internet, they faced huge challenges when it comes to continuing their learning patterns. So we will understand about this thing. This was there in data point. So data point comes from Monday to Friday in the Hindu newspaper, and from Monday to Saturday or Monday to Friday you get text and context also in the e-edition. This is the counterpart of this thing, what we say, explained section of Indian Express. So you should also look forward to reading text and context. It is they give detailed and in-depth articles. Okay. So with this, now let us move to the first topic for the day. It says questionable criterion. The Supreme Court is right in asking for basis on which center fixes income limit for EWS quota. Okay, EWS stands for economically weaker section. Okay, so people who belong to the EWS section, so they are given reservation in admission in higher educational institutes, and at the same time they are given reservation in jobs, in government jobs. All right. So the government of India had decided that EWS quota, okay, on the basis of income criteria of the household. Like when it comes to setting like who will be the part of the EWS quota, who will be getting the benefit of EWS reservation. So government of India has set some limit for it. So according to that particular limit, one of the thing is the income of the household should be less than 8 lakh per annum. This is not the only criteria. There are other criteria also, like when it comes to holding the when it comes to holding land land or other property. So based on that thing, the government of India decides this particular thing. You might be knowing that the government OBS people, like OBC people. OBC means people who come in the other backward classes. Then 15% reservation is totally given to SC and ST, people who belong to the SC or ST classes. Okay. So when it comes to giving reservations, so those reservation was adopted on the basis of multiple committees and commissions that were set up by the Government of India, and based on the recommendation of those committees, okay, Government of India had adopted that 27% quota will be given to OBC people, like 15% quota will be given together to SC and ST population, all right, in government jobs, and as well as in admission in higher educational institutes that are backed by the government, like whether it's state government or central government. But when it comes to taking a decision, okay, in terms of EWS quota, the government had unilaterally, in the year of 2019 or 20, they have decided that like 10% reservation will be given to people who belong to EWS quota. EWS means economically weaker sections. So even if people fall in the general category, okay, general in the sense unreserved category, if their per annum, the per year, okay, income of the household is less than 8 lakh rupees, so in that case they will be given the reservation of 10% in government jobs. So recently the Supreme Court has asked the central government that like on what basis you have decided the reservation on EWS quota, means like on what basis the central government had fixed the income limit for EWS quota. Do they have any credible data backing their this particular claim that people who earn less than 8 lakh rupees a year, okay, they fall under this particular category, and they are there who can get the reservation in government jobs. So this is the thing, okay. So this particular this particular questioning from the Supreme Court of India came because on one hand this particular EWS quota has given 10% reservation, okay. The 10% reservation is over and above the existing reservation that is available. So it it somehow goes beyond the 50% reservation limit. So it already violates some provisions of the Constitution of India, okay. Like there has been multiple judgments also by the Supreme Court of India where like they have said the reservation cannot exceed beyond 50%, okay. But like there were certain exceptions also. But the Supreme Court of India, the central government, what they have done, they have come with 103rd Constitution Amendment Act, okay. So under this particular Amendment Act, they have introduced the EWS quota system in the year of 2019, okay. And that time it was challenged in the Supreme Court of India, and it was being headed by 3-judge bench, okay, 3-judge bench. But now this particular thing is before a constitution bench. Constitution bench means whenever a case is being heard by at least 5 judges of the Supreme Court of India, okay. Whenever a case is being heard by 5 judges in the Supreme Court of India, in that case it is considered that like it has gone to a constitution bench for review, or like constitution bench is looking forward this particular issue. So whenever something is of importance, high importance, so those cases are like given to the constitution bench, and like the judgments of a lower bench can only be altered by a higher judge bench. I mean like the lower let's consider there was one judge bench. I mean like one judge can hear a case. If in that case, if people can apply for review petition. Review means like same judge can review that particular thing. But later on, like if there are other challenges, then like the same case may be referred to 2-judge bench or to 3-judge bench. So that's how the cases are allocated. But wherever there are concerns of constitutional questions, like there is a matter of law or like matter of fact, there are some provisions under which some of the cases go to higher judge bench directly. It has gone to 3-judge bench earlier, but now it has gone to like 5-judge bench, which is known as constitution bench. And this constitution bench of the Supreme Court of India has asked this question to the central government: do you have any credible data? Like is this particular income limit fixed on the basis of some scientific some scientific data? So this is the thing. So we need to wait for the for this particular case to be settled, so that later on there can be proper, I mean like still like it was under implementation, it has been implemented. many people may have got reservation on the basis of EWS quota by now, but like when the Supreme Court is going to, when the Supreme Court is going to look into this particular thing, whenever there will be any amendments, so like in future, after then, there can be changes. But like once a law is in place, and after then if has been implemented, right? So those laws will still be implemented. Means like any kind of changes that happens, it will happen prospectively. Prospectively means at a later date. Okay. So this was the thing. So like we have all India quota system. Okay, all India quota seats, and under this, like people get reservation in higher educational institutions. Recently, the NEET related cases were there in the Supreme Court of India. Okay, like people prepare for NEET exam to, to be doctors. Through NEET exam, it is a competitive exam. People, like get a seat, medical seat in medical colleges. But there also, like, there is reservation system. So like EWS, it has been challenged in the Supreme Court. It is still being heard by the Supreme Court of India, and at the same time they are also looking for this EWS quota and other things also, government reservations. So this is the thing. With this, now let us move to the next article for the day. Any question in the first topic? It was a small topic, although I have elaborated it. Okay, it was a very short topic. This is the second topic, which says COP. COP means Conference of Parties. Conference of Parties, which parties are there? The parties are those parties like who are, like the different countries are part of, some climate negotiation. When they meet together, that is known as Conference of Parties. So COP26 has recently happened, okay, from October 31 to November 12 in Glasgow, okay. So this COP26 pledges need a new climate of cooperation. So in this COP26, many countries have taken pledge, means like they have taken resolution that we are going to bring this change in the financial aspects. We are going to bring that change in the, not financial, like in the this climate related aspects, right? So these pledges, is not homogeneously adopted by all the countries together. Some countries may have adopted, some kind of pledges, other countries have not adopted it, okay. So this particular article is saying that COP pledges need a new climate of cooperation. Means like, although different countries have come together, they have taken pledges, but like they should also have cooperation among themselves, so that like, most of the, pledges can be actually converted into actionable, targets, okay. So this is the thing. So this article talks about that, like, in the recent conference that was happened, that has happened in Glasgow, two major countries did not participate in it. What are the countries? China and Russia did not participate. So these are the countries who are the second and fourth largest, okay, second and fourth largest carbon emitters. China is the second largest carbon emitter in the world. Russia is the fourth largest carbon emitter in the world. India is the third largest carbon emitter in the world. Okay. First is USA. So these are the countries that are largest carbon emitters. So like, from this particular conference, two major countries, China and Russia, they did not participate. When these major players were not there, okay. So what has happened? The limelight came into India. India was in the focus, because India is the third largest polluter, okay, or like carbon emitter in the world. So now India had to adopt, some or other pledges. That was the conference where like it was expected that people will adopt the, this particular thing, net zero carbon emission. So many of the countries have adopted the year 2050 as the year by which they will have, net zero carbon emission for the world. Like USA, Japan, other countries have adopted that by the year of 2050 we will have net zero carbon emission. We will not have, more carbon emission. They can have carbon emission, but at the same time they will have sink also. So the thing is, the amount that is being emitted will be, will be concentrated as well. So many countries had adopted this target, but India did not adopt the target of 2050. Why India did not adopt the target of 2050? Because like India is still a developing nation. It is an emerging country, and at the same time India do not have that much developed capacity as compared to those developed nations like Russia, USA, France, like other countries, European Union countries like that. Okay, so those countries that are developed, they have already polluted the environment to a greater extent. I mean, like, they have polluted the environment by converting their, I mean, like, their ideas into technologies, by, making machines and polluting the things. So they have, achieved a level of development in their economy. But what has happened? India has not achieved this particular thing. The nation is still emerging. A lot of changes are happening. At this point of time, to bring, those changes, what are the changes? Like, changes in the machinery, changes in the automobile industry, right? Changes in various parts in, different machineries, so that like they emit less. It requires huge amount of research and development, huge amount of investment, and lot of things, which is not, I mean, feasible at this point of time for India to bring, sea change in that particular thing. So India cannot adopt such targets for itself, because yes.
So they want us to not go in their path in developing it. Like they have make lots of pollution, and now they are developing.
Right.
Because we are on same track. So they are
Right.
saying that you shift your resources to renewable sources.
Right.
Not in this way.
Right. So that's the thing. I mean, like, these countries have this thing in mind, that like we have polluted. Now this is the time that like the environment must be safeguarded. Also, we also have the same thing, but like we cannot adopt the similar measures that they can adopt, because like you might have studied about one thing, CBDR, common but differentiated responsibilities. What it means, like everybody has common responsibility, common goal of having an environment, having an atmosphere which is pollution free, right? But the responsibilities will be different. Means why different? Because like it will be according to the capacity of different countries. I mean, like a country that is able to bring some changes, it will bring. Other country that is able to bring greater changes will bring. And one thing that we need to understand, that environment or atmosphere is a global common. It means like if we are polluting from one part of the country, it's not only affecting the atmosphere above us, it is affecting the entire atmosphere, because like it is a connected system. Atmosphere is a connected system. If you are polluting from one place, it is going to have effect overall in the overall environment. So that is, I mean, like it is a connected system, and it's a common good in the sense like the environment is being used by everyone equally. Okay, but the thing is, like if one country is doing huge pollution, so other countries will come into the picture. They will highlight this particular thing, that you should bring down the pollution level in your country. Okay, so that's the thing. I mean, like it's a global common. This is one thing. Okay, so we have understood this particular part. So here they have they have highlighted that many countries have adopted the target of 2050, but India has adopted the target of 2070 to make it 2070 for making India a net zero emitter. Net zero emitter means the total pollution level that will be emitted will be zero. I mean, like if we are emitting something, so we will at the same time have proper sink. Okay, so that like the net emission is zero. So India has adopted this particular target of 2070. And apart from this, the United States of America and Europe, they have led another climate goal, which is known as the global methane pledge. Okay, methane pledge. Methane means, you might be knowing, CH4. All right, so this like in the global methane pledge, what they have tried to do, that like they are going to bring down the global methane emission level significantly by the year of 2030. Okay, and this particular pledge was signed by 104 countries. Okay, and India being despite being the third largest emitter in the world, India had not adopted that particular target. India did not sign the global methane pledge. It is important. Note down that India did not sign the global methane pledge. Okay, then India was also not part of the pledge to deforestation. Okay, so there was a pledge for deforestation. India did not adopt that pledge also, and India has the has world's largest contiguous mangrove forest, the Sundarbans, but still India did not adopt this particular thing, pledged to deforestation. Okay. So after this, now we need to understand one more thing. Like, way back in the year of 2016, India and France together have spearheaded, means like they have together initiated a global movement of, International Solar Alliance, where, many countries around the world, okay, more than 120 countries around the world had signed this particular agreement, which is International Solar Alliance, and its headquarters is located in Gurugram in India. Okay, so India and France were the countries who have initiated this movement, and India wants to harness the potential of this solar power. Okay, harness the potential of solar power. So why do we want to harness the potential of solar power? Because it is a renewable source of energy, and at the same time, there is very less pollution associated with this solar power or hydroelectricity or such renewable sources of energy. Since India has a huge population to provide power to, I mean, like, India has a high energy demand. Why? Because we have very high population. So and India does not have that particular climate related thing that like we can generate meet all the energy demands using renewable sources of energy. So all the demands cannot be adopted using renewable sources of energy. That's one thing. So that's why India uses the nuclear power. Okay, so India also uses nuclear power because nuclear power is also less pollution emitting as compared to the fossil fuel like coal and such other conventional fossil fuels. Okay, so pursuing green energy, when it comes to green energy, so like India has already adopted solar related multiple multiple initiatives around the world. So that's why India now did not adopt these things. So what are the struggles, what are the difficulties that India may face as a country? Yeah, we are not a part of the nuclear supplier group. Okay, we are not a part of nuclear suppliers group. Okay, why we are not part of it? Because like China is a part of it, and like to become part of nuclear supplier group, there needs to be consensus. Consensus means all the countries that are part of that particular nuclear suppliers group should accept the recommendation of adopting a new member. If one of the country opposes it, then the new member will not be added. So it is done on a consensus basis where everyone should have approval. Means like should have single point in mind that like we will add this particular country in our grouping. So China is opposing the entry of India in the nuclear supplier group. Why? Because like being a part of nuclear supplier group, like we will have access to the nuclear energies or like nuclear material, nuclear know-how, lot of things associated with that thing. So since India is not a part of it, so like it becomes difficult for India to harness the nuclear energy. Although like we have to some extent we started using a lot of things, but still India faces lot of difficulty. First thing is like the consumption requirement for India is very high. And at the same time, we have lack of adequate available renewable energy options. Okay, why consumption requirement is high? Because we have a huge population. Lot of things are into change. Okay, means like lot of things are undergoing changes. So there is high energy demand. And at the same time, we have not developed renewable sources of energy to that extent that like using the renewable sources, we can meet all the demands of people. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, so now they are talking about difficult choices for the south. Okay, what is south, what is north? When it talks about the world, okay, if you see the world map, okay, if you see the world map at large, it looks like this to some extent, right? This is northern hemisphere, this is southern hemisphere. The countries to the northern hemisphere, if you compare the countries that are there in the northern hemisphere to the countries that are in the southern hemisphere, the countries in the northern hemisphere are more prosperous than the southern hemisphere. Okay, the developed countries are there in the northern hemisphere. Most of the developed countries, like if we talk about USA, Canada, European Union, Russia, these are the countries that are that lies in the northern hemisphere. If we talk about southern hemisphere, so some of the countries of maybe this African countries and some other nations, they are in the southern hemisphere. So there is developmental disparity globally. In the northern hemisphere we have more prosperous, more developed nations. In the southern hemisphere we have lesser developed, less prosperous nations. And at the same time, if we divide the world into the two halves, like eastern and western part, the eastern hemisphere has poorer countries as compared to western hemisphere or western countries. The western countries are more prosperous, like USA, Canada, again, like these countries. So if we talk about globally, so this particular corner of the world has more prosperous countries, more developed countries, and some portion of this thing like Russia and all. So here now they are talking about difficult choices for the south. When we talk about countries in the south, like if you talk about Americas, North America, Canada, right? These countries are prosperous. If you go to the South America, they are not as developed as North America. So like they are less prosperous. They face difficulty in meeting the lot of financial resources and all. So this is the thing. So what are the like difficult choices that are available with us? And when we talk about India, so Indian economy has been declining since the year of 2016. Why? Because in the year of 2016 the government of India came up with demonetization, and because of demonetization still the economy faces a lot of difficulty. That was one thing. Now because of COVID-19 also the economic situation is not well. Means like a lot of the things that were earlier performing quite well have gone down. Businesses are not running as smooth as they used to run.
Last 2 days,
Yeah.
5 lakh crores has been evaporated, so due to new variant of corona.
Right. So the thing is, when businesses are not performing well, they will not be able to pay taxes to the government. When government is not not having proper revenue resources, when they do not have proper revenue collection, so they will have lesser amount with them to spend in welfare measures. So that's how things are connected. So what is happening over here? And apart from this, like Government of India has also adopted a measure which is GST, Goods and Services Tax. The Goods and Services Tax, it is an indirect tax. Its aim was to is to amalgamate all the kinds of indirect tax into one umbrella taxation system, which is Goods and Services Tax. But the Goods and Services Tax still faces a lot of difficulty. There are issues related to compliance of GST. Most of the businesses are trying to comply with it, but like every 2 months the GST council meeting happens. They take one or another decision, and those decisions for implementing those decisions, lot of changes are done at the administrative level, at the business level, but in the second meeting they come up with some other resolutions, some other changes. So the economy is in transition when it comes to indirect taxation. And at the same time, the GST as a framework to settle down, it's going to take at least 5 years more, to be a very stable taxation system in India. Recently, you might have noticed that like what has happened earlier. I mean, like we had multiple tier GST structure. GST rates were more than around 8 rates, but 4 standard rates were there: 5%. 12%, 18% and 28%, right? But like there was 0% taxation also in many goods, right? But government has thought like we should have a 3-tier GST structure. A 3-tier means like 3 rate structure in GST. So there is National Institute for this Public Finance and Policy. This particular institute has given a recommendation that government can adopt 3-tier rate structure. One of the rate will be 8%, other will be 15%, and the other will be 30%. Earlier it was 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. This was a standard GST rate. So they have adopted this thing. They have said like this can be adopted, But the thing is, like, to implement this thing, there will be a lot of problems, because, like, a lot of new notification has to be given. There will be ambiguity, like which goods come under 8%, which goods come under 15% structure. Okay, and like people who were earlier paying 28%, if you ask them to pay 30%, so it will be, I mean, like, what we say, like, there will be resistance from that section also. So a lot of things are there. I mean, like, a lot of changes are happening in terms of GST as well. So Indian economy has been undergoing, a lot of changes, lot of instability has been there in the economy. So that's why, India has resource constraints. Means like we have lesser resources, we have huge demand from people to meet, right? So now what we have, like we have, major demands, and we have lesser resources to meet those demands. So what we will do, we will prioritize between these things, these demands. Which demand is more important, right? So we will try to meet those demands, but very rationally, okay? So this is the thing. So you need to read this particular article. This article will help you understand, like, what are climate related policies, right? Why India adopts a certain climate related policy, why it does not sign, all the documents, all the pledges, because only signing does not, end the game. After then, people will look up to you that, like, you have signed this particular pledge in the so and so conference. Now you are not implementing these things, okay? There will be a lot of criticism also. Right. So now we will talk about another topic. This topic says the importance of local language. Okay, we are going to understand about importance of local language. Okay, you might be knowing that there are many states in India, in southern states, they want to safeguard their culture, their identity, their language, and for safeguarding this thing, they have come up with one or other kind of government orders, government resolutions, government notifications, so that, like, they can preserve their language. Okay, so one of such a state is Karnataka. Tamil Nadu has been there in news multiple times again, right? Andhra Pradesh was in news related to this, right? Andhra Pradesh, I mean, like, right. So now here, like, when we talk about Karnataka, recently the Karnataka government had issued, okay, an order. Okay, government had issued an order in August 2021, and it has stated that undergraduate students should learn Kannada as one of the two languages from 2021 to 22 academic year. Okay, now, I mean, this was a notification by the government of Karnataka that undergraduate students must learn Kannada language. Okay, you know that, like, Kannada is a state in India which is more prosperous than many other states in India. This is one thing. Many multinational companies are located in Karnataka, right? Multinational means Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon. A lot of companies have their, lot of companies have their headquarters over there. Okay, many people who are residing in Karnataka, they are not natives of Karnataka. Means, like, people are going from around India to Karnataka to reside over there, and from around the world to reside over there, and their children might be studying in one or other colleges or universities located in Karnataka. Recently there was a report, annual status of education report. They have said that Karnataka has more than 800 such engineering colleges in one district itself, Bengaluru. All right, which is more than, I mean, like, many colleges or universities in some states in India. Okay, so, like, they have, I mean, good academic structure, they have good academic setup. But when it comes to people who have migrated from other states to Karnataka, or who have come from other countries to Karnataka and residing, their children might be studying in one or other private universities or government colleges, maybe, right? Their children, I mean, like, they may be aware of some, let's consider English or Hindi or some other their native languages, but when it comes to learning Kannada, it may be difficult, and that may not be a preferable choice for those people also, because, like, they are residing there temporarily. But with this particular government order, those students will also have to learn it. So people have filed petitions in local courts and high court. Okay, so Karnataka High Court is now like hearing this particular matter. So what has happened over the years, like this was not the first order that was released by government of Karnataka. They have released it for undergraduate students, means those students who are going to colleges. All right. But in Karnataka or in other states, they have at least 2 language formula. One native language is being taught to the students, and let's consider apart from it, at least English is taught. Okay, like in northern states, Hindi is taught along with English. Then Sanskrit may also be taught. But when it comes to Karnataka, so like they have a policy that like all the students who have studied Kannada up to 12th standard. In their schooling, they have to study Kannada for 2 years. And people who have never studied Kannada, they have to study Kannada for 6 months, for a semester. Okay. So so this was the thing. But the government of Karnataka have also backed their stand. They have backed that like even the, National Education Policy of 2020, it states that in order to preserve and promote culture, one must preserve and promote a culture's languages. This was there, this line was there in the National Education Policy that was adopted in the year of 2020. But the thing is still, still this particular thing is being heard by the court, and the government of Karnataka have, tried to make the Kannada language as a functional language. Means like people who are coming from outside, they should be able to talk to people who are natives. For this, they should learn the functional language, and they should read it for at least 1 semester. And government of Karnataka has said that those people who have learned the language, like they feel more connected with Kannada society, and at the same time these people have one or other advantages as compared to a person who has not learned this particular language. So this government order was was challenged in the Karnataka High Court by this particular trust, which is Samskrita Bharati Trust. Okay, Samskrita Bharati Karnataka Trust. So they have filed petition against it. Okay, so lot of things are there. There are arguments from both the sides. The government of Karnataka has valid arguments, or like they have valid grounds to back their order, and at the same time people who come from outside, they also have valid grounds to oppose this particular thing. So the matter is to be settled by the court. Okay, Karnataka High Court, and we will see what happens. But like apart from this, they have also in this particular article, they have given a brief history also about it. Okay, so there has been multiple court cases related to this. So the state government has faced a setback after its language policy of 1994 was quashed by the Supreme Court in May 2014. Okay, so the government of Karnataka has come up with language policy in the year of 1994. Okay, after 30 years, the Supreme Court of India has put down that particular law, and so the language policy mandated that medium of instruction for students in lower primary classes should be in regional language or mother tongue. Okay, after this battle lost, the Karnataka government introduces Kannada Language Learning Act of 2015. Okay, and this Kannada Language Learning Act, okay, dates back to this particular committee report, which is Gokak committee report. Okay, so you don't have to go into so much detail about it, but you need to understand that there is a debate. What is that debate? Debate is what is the importance of preserving the local languages? What is the importance of preserving local languages? How should the local languages must be preserved? What is 3 language formula? Okay, what are the debates going around it? Okay, how to preserve the cultural identity? Okay, and is there any constitutional provision related to protecting cultural identity, protecting these things? Okay, these are the things that you should be knowing. Apart from this, UNESCO, United Nations. Can anyone tell me what is the full form of UNESCO? Yes, Miss. UNESCO stands for United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Okay. So UNESCO has also come up with a report. Okay. The vulnerable languages of the world. Okay. So like you should like find out the exact name of that particular report. That report actually highlights what are the most vulnerable languages in the world. They have they come up with this particular report so that people can be made can understand what is the importance of preserving or protecting one's indigenous languages. Okay, indigenous language related this particular thing report was released by UNESCO. Okay, you should learn know the name of that particular report, and you should also learn about some of the language related things. I mean, recently some Devanagari script or some script is being developed by by IITs, and this particular script will represent multiple languages in India, because in India we have multiple languages. They do not have their own script. Okay,
based on Devanagari, so many languages has came.
Yeah, means now they are developing one script. That script will represent multiple languages in India. You should know about name of that script, developments related to that. Okay, and you should also learn about the report that is released by the UNESCO. Okay, so with this, now let us move to the next topic.
Sir, every preferred language is going to be getting as a UNESCO identification, sir. So in India, with example Telugu, Kannada, and Tamil, they got as a identification of UNESCO due to the culture and language. Some government is going to be abolishing the local language education. They need to take the permission from UNESCO, or they need to give the directly order without any permission of UNESCO?
No. It's not like that. I mean, when we talk about the languages, so we have classical languages in India. Okay, we have 6 classical languages in India. Okay, 4 classical languages come from the southern states of India. They are Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam, right? So these are the 4 languages that are classical languages. Apart from this, Sanskrit is a classical language and Odia is a classical language. So we have 6 classical languages in India, and these classical languages has a history of more than 100 years of written records. Okay, so these languages have been, is constitutionally protected. And at the same time, okay, many other languages do not have the classical status because they do not have their own script. Script means it is important that there should be a dated history and there should be written record of that particular language being used earlier. Okay, that's the thing. So we have 6 languages that are classical languages, but when we talk about the languages that are mentioned in the Constitution of India, we have 22 languages. Okay. They are mentioned in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India. So you should understand what are those languages that are mentioned in the Constitution, what are the classical languages, and what are the criteria for a language to be classified as a classical language. Okay. So with this, now let us move to the next topic. Means language or protecting cultural identity in itself is a very big topic. There can be associated issues. You should learn about them. Okay. With this, now we will move to this topic which says visa complaints to US government on India backing for rupee. Okay. So rupee is a debit card. So it is a card that is developed by NPCIL. NPCIL stands for National Payments Corporation of India Limited, NPCIL. Okay, so National Payments Corporation of India Limited is an organization that has developed this particular card, which is RuPay card. Okay, and this NPCIL is a not-for-profit company. Okay, it is a not-for-profit company, and this functions under the Reserve Bank of India. Okay. In India, like earlier, we have Visa and MasterCard, okay, that were widely adopted. Visa and MasterCard that were widely adopted for making payments through card, whether debit card or credit card. But recently, the Reserve Bank of India has come up with guidelines, and with this, the market operations or market things are shrinking for these two companies. Okay. So these companies are saying that the India is not providing a level playing field, means like proper competition, and India is, directly or indirectly, okay, through, directly means with policy, proper, legislation, with proper policy. Indirectly means with, persuasion, telling people that, use RuPay card to serve the nation. This has emotional appeal in it. Use RuPay card to serve the nation, or for nationalism, like that. It has emotional appeal in it.
So it has also security issues, because sir, when Russia annexed Crimea, at that time USA first, in Russia these two companies are only playing field. So USA has stopped the transaction of these two companies. They told these companies that you must stop transaction. So
Right.
so it is also nationalism.
Right. Maybe like in that, like you can connect it like that. Okay, you can connect. But these companies, Visa has complained to the US government that India's informal and formal promotion of domestic payments rival RuPay hurts the US giant in a key market. Okay. So this is the thing. These two companies are, trying to maintain their hegemony in the Indian financial market. Okay, in terms of card issuance and all. Although they have wider presence in Indian market still, but RuPay card is gaining prominence slowly and gradually since it came into picture. So we have to wait for the developments to happen, like what are the key changes that are going to come. Okay, so we need to wait for it. And so recently there was a meeting also between the United States Trade Representative, okay, Catherine. She visited India and she had a meeting with one of the ministers in India. Okay, so that particular meeting has, they discussed about these issues, and at the same time, they have to talk about it in their domestic affairs. Then this is one of the last topic that we will be talking about today. Okay, this is data point. Okay, this is important also, because this you can use some of the lines that are mentioned in this particular article to give statistics, to give examples for a answer that you are writing. Okay, so it says smartphone access for learning not adequate. Okay, means the smartphone access is not adequate for learning. This is one thing. Okay, so they have given data that major states, okay, among major states, Kerala was the only one where over 50% of the school students could access a smartphone for studies all the time. Okay, so among major states, Kerala was the state where more than 50% of students had smartphone for learning all the time. They had a smartphone for learning anytime, like that. Then nearly 40% of students in grade 1 to 2 did not have access to a smartphone, despite one being available in 2021. Okay, so this particular data has been taken from the annual status of education report, which is known as ASER. Okay, it is released every year by an organization that is known as, what is the name of the organization? Pratham. Okay, so Pratham is an organization that releases this particular thing, annual status of education report. Okay, so this annual status of education report had talked about had talked about multiple things, that availability of a smartphone also depends on parents' education. When both the parents are educated, it is more likely that a children is going to have a smartphone with him. When parents are less educated or not educated, in that case, the children are going to have difficulty in accessing a smartphone. This is one thing. So they have categorized parents' education as low, medium and high. Okay, parents' education is considered to be low if both the parents have completed less than 5th standard of schooling, and parents' education is considered to be high if the parents have completed at least 9th grade, if both the parents have completed at least 9th grade. Okay, so this is the thing. So as per this particular data, okay, so this is ASER. ASER means annual status of education report. This is ASER 2020 and this is ASER 2021. Okay. So at least one smartphone at home, low, medium, means like you need to read this particular data to understand like what is the importance of a smartphone in education when the country is hit by pandemic, and how education of the parent plays a role in access to a smartphone. Not only education but household income also plays a greater role. Okay. So here they have mentioned about state wise, like they mentioned about parents education, they mentioned about smartphone availability. The table lists the share of students who had a smartphone at home. Okay. Government school, private school. Okay. As per ASER 2018, in government schools 29.6% was there. In ASER 2020 it was 56.4%. In the latest it is 63.7%. So in your free time you should learn about these red mark things. I mean, like one of the red mark is state wise access, like across the states, right? When we talk about major states, small states, like what is the access to smartphone among children. Second thing is they have mentioned about availability of a smartphone, whether a smartphone is available at home or not. It may not be available exclusively to our children, but is it available at home or not? Okay. So parents education also plays role. Lot of things they have mentioned. Okay, low access. Although 67.6% of students across all grades had a smartphone available at home, only 27% could access it all the times to study. Okay. So this is something, I mean, like this you can use it as one line in your main answer. I mean, if you are writing an answer related to education, okay, you can mention this particular thing, availability of a smartphone. Then you can mention about lot of other relevant areas, right? Like availability of internet, availability of like good household income, right? So a lot of things are there, they play role. So this is an important article in that line. Today we will talk about a question that is not directly relevant with the discussion that we had today, but like this is a question that was there in the prelims exam of 2021. Okay. In the 2021 prelims exam, they have asked this question. They said, who among the following is associated with songs from prison? A translation of ancient Indian religious lyrics in English. Okay. So, who is associated with songs from prison? A translation of ancient Indian religious lyrics in English. Okay. They have given the name Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Jawaharlal Nehru, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi and Sarojini Naidu. Okay. Gandhi, yeah. Many people are smart enough, they are seeing here, right?
When he went to prison, he wrote a notes with by writing of notes. He wrote his speeches.
Right.
So written only in the comments now, sir.
Right. So I mean, like he is giving. I mean, like he's backing his option. Like why it is the thing. Okay. You should be knowing about it. This year this question came and many such questions comes that like you may not be aware of. Okay, they directly ask such questions.
Because Gandhi has suddenly arrested, sir.
Yeah, it was, yes.
For movement purpose, he given the statements to written.
Right. So it was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. So like I searched in the internet earlier also when the results came that day, like we that very day we have come up with answer keys and all. So we have done good research on the answer keys and topics. So that time, I came up with the exact text. I mean, like compilation what Gandhiji has done, right? And this was there in Amazon. I mean, like a book was available. Like today when I searched, so it was there in one of the things. So like this is the cover page of that particular book, right? That says Songs from Prison, translation of Indian lyrics made in jail. Okay, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. So this is the thing, okay. So I mean such questions can be asked. You should be, I mean, like ready for any kind of questions in UPSC. Whenever you are going in exam, you should be free minded. You should not study so much, on the day of exam, before exam, like that, before the day of exam. That time you should be free minded so that like you can have some additional ideas, because if you read a lot, that time in the exam hall your mind works lesser. Okay. Means like whatever you have to read, you do it now, much before the exam. on the day of exam, before the day of exam, that day, I mean, like, you don't do much work. That day, like, you should be free enough to, think freely. So that's all that I had to discuss with you today in the Hindu newspaper. Thank you so much everyone for attending the session. I hope you have a good day ahead.